Hello and welcome to your algebra lesson on function notation. So your objective today is that you will understand and apply function notation. So we've already talked about what makes something a function. Now we're going to talk about function notation. Okay, so function notation, we just replace the f of x there is replacing our y. So instead of writing y equals x minus 3, we put f of x. And that means the function, we call this function f. And it's pronounced f of x. So f is your outside of and then whatever's inside. So in this case, when we're asked to find out what the f of negative 2 is, remember f of x is our output. So this is asking what is the output when our input is negative 2. So it's asking what is the output when our input is negative 2. Okay, so all we do is we're going to end up replacing our x with the negative 2. So f of negative 2 equals, we got up here negative 2 minus 3, which is negative 5. We do the same thing here. F of 0 means what is the output when our input is 0. So f of 0 equals 0 minus 3. So f of 0 is simply negative 3. When we're asked for f of 5, again, that means what is the output when the input is 5. F of 5 is 5 minus 3. So that means f of 5 is simply 2. Not too difficult. Well, here I have g of x. So it's not always going to be f. A lot of times they'll go to g or h or something else. And sometimes they'll use other letters for our input instead of x. So in this case, they're telling me my output is g, my input is x. You'll see the x over here in the equation. So when it asks me for g of negative 2, so g of negative 2 equals negative 2 times negative 2. Notice I'm going to put it in parentheses so I make sure I remember to multiply. Well, negative 2 times negative 2 is simply 4. So g of negative 2 is 4. Here I have g of 0. So g of 0 equals negative 2 times 0, which is just going to give me 0. Here I have g of 5. So again, I'm just substituting it in for my x. So g of 5 is negative 2 times 5. So g of 5 is simply negative 10. Not too difficult. So let's try this again. Pause the video real quick and see if you can get each of these. Okay, so hopefully you did that. Here again we have h of x. So h of negative 2. Again, we're just substituting the negative 2 for our x. So I have 5 minus 3 times negative 2. So h of negative 2 is 5 minus negative 6, which turns to 6 plus 6. So h of negative 2 is simply 11. So here I have h of 0. So h of 0 is 5 minus 3 times 0. So h of 0 is 5 minus 0. So h of 0 is simply 5. Not too bad. Let's try one more. Here I'm trying to find h of 5. So h of 5 is 5 minus 3 times 5. So h of 5 is 5 minus 15. H of 5 is negative 10. Not too bad. So in this case, we're being asked to evaluate f of x equals 6x when f of x equals negative 24. Notice this is different than asking for f of negative 24. That would mean to replace our input. But this one, when we are asked to find f of x, it means we're going to replace our output. So replace our output with negative 24. So in this case, I'm going to write negative 24 instead of f of x equals 6x. So to solve this, I'm simply going to divide both sides by 6. Over here, I get negative 4 equals x. So when we're evaluating for a given value of f of x, we should end up with a value for our input. Okay? So in this case, it is negative 4. Here's another one to try. In this case, we are evaluating g of x equals negative 10x when g of x equals 15. Again, we're replacing g of x with 15. So I have 15 equals negative 10x. Again, I'm just going to divide both sides by negative 10 because that's what's there with my x. So I get negative 1.5 equals x. Okay, again, with these, when they're given a g of x value, you're looking for, so this is, again, that's your output. They gave you an output. You need to find the input. Okay, so make sure you're finding the correct thing. So here, I have f of x equals 4, f of x equals 3x minus 5. So I'm going to rewrite it as 4 equals 3x minus 5. To solve this, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So I have 4 plus 5 equals 3x minus 5 plus 5. Those are going to cancel. Here I get 9 equals 3x. I'm going to divide both sides by 3 and get 3 equals x. Again, I found my input for my given output. Okay, let's try this last one, and then we're going to go on to look at what this looks like in real-world situations. So, here I have h of x equals negative 2. So I have negative 2 equals 14 minus 8x. So I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. So I have negative 2 minus 14 equals 14 minus 14 minus 8x. These are going to cancel. Negative 2 minus 14 gives me negative 16 equals, don't forget, don't lose this negative, equals negative 8x. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 8. And I get 2 equals x. Again, that is my input for my given output. Okay, so what does it look like when we're talking about things in the real world? So in this case, we're going to let C of t be the number of customers, or that's our output, in a department store T hours after 8 a.m. And we're going to explain the meaning of each of these statements. So here I have, in part A, I have C of 0 equals 10. Well, C, the 0 is my input, which is the time after 8. So at 8 a.m., that's what my input means, at 8 a.m. Remember, my output here is the number of customers. There are 10 customers. Okay, so that was not too bad, right? So pause and see if you can answer the rest of these. Okay, hopefully you paused. C of 6 equals C of 7. So again, this is 6 hours after 8 a.m. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So at 2 p.m., there are the same number of customers as at 3 p.m., an hour later. All I know is the number of customers at 6 hours after is the same as the number of customers 7 hours after. Okay. So let's look at the next one. C of 4 is greater than C of 3. So C of 4 is noon, and C of 3 would be 11. So there are more customers at noon than at 11 a.m. Okay, the last part tells me C of 14 equals 0. So C of 14, 14 hours after 8 a.m. So we just count that. We get 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So at 10 p.m., there are no customers. So this is what it might look like in the real world. So at 10 p.m., there are no customers. Okay, so please make sure that you try your practice, and I will see you in class.